Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Learning Guild. Today's DevLearn 365 webinar, AI Avatars in Learning, the Science of Engagement and Best Practices for Interactivity, is sponsored by ELB Learning and is being presented by Marlon Fuentes Sanchez. Marlon Fuentes Sanchez is an AI evangelist at Colossyan, where he drives innovation in AI-driven storytelling and learning to shape the future of work. With a background in AI-powered communication at Ericsson and immersive media at BuzzFeed, he specializes in helping organizations adapt to emerging technologies. Passionate about education, he has designed professional development experiences that empower teams to embrace AI and creativity. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Marlon. And Marlon, when you're ready, go ahead and take that screen share from me. Just say, yeah, I want a screen share.
Sounds great. And thank you so much, Karen, for the wonderful introduction. Hello to everybody in the chat. It is wonderful to be here. As Karen mentioned, I'm very passionate about, this intersection of learning and technology. I myself began my journey as a facilitator in corporate training at the Center for Nonprofit Management in Los Angeles. So I really stand on the shoulders of giants. I remember, kind of being thrust into my first workshop seminar. At that time, the conversation was really, should organizations be on social media? Should we be on Facebook? And here we are today talking about AI avatars in learning, which is very, very exciting. And I'm just going to go ahead and start with a quick poll question. How many folks here, and Karen, if you would put up the poll, are currently using AI in your workflow at all? Just curious to know who all's already jumped in.
So you should be seeing that poll come up on your screen. I'm going to let that run for a little bit of time, and it's no surprise as to where this is landing.
Very
All
cool. Yes,
right.
this is, that we're, I hear a lot from the community that, oh, I feel like I got to catch up. I feel like there's so much happening, and a sense of frustration. But I want everyone to know that we're living in times of, as Alvin Toffler, one of my favorite futurist writers, would say, an accelerated thrust where it's okay to feel a little bewildered. It's okay to feel a change happening in your body. And I'm going to show you a little bit later in this presentation just how just the reality of this accelerated, technological change that we're living in, just based on how long it's taken to go from, cuneiform tablets to generative AI. We are moving much, much faster. But I will say that once you can begin to narrow in on what your passions are, how you want to leverage this general purpose technology, I think you'll find the rabbit holes that will lead themselves to helping you in your work. So want to say if you're here we have an hour today. If you're here for 15 minutes, wonderful. Grab whatever you can. Follow up with us later. If you're here for the full hour, we will have a little bit of a knowledge check at the end, and we'll go through a lot of great work. You can also open up a browser window and check out Colossyan.com. That's if you want to kind of start to tinker with some of the examples that we'll show you today. So first, we're going to talk about the science of AI avatars, because there actually is a very compelling set of evidence about why AI avatars and faces lend themselves to learning. We're going to talk about some of the best practices in creating interactivity using platforms such as Colossyan to create these experiences. And then we're going to just get a little hands-on. I'm going to show you some workflows and some projects that you can take advantage of immediately. It's open to everybody. And also we'll have a time for Q&A and some examples. So before I get too far ahead, I want to just give a quick shout out and thank you to ELB Learning for sponsoring this webinar. These are wonderful folks, and I encourage you all to check them out. we're going to play a quick video because ELB has integrated Colossyan's avatars with microbuilders. So this is pretty exciting stuff. And we'll be seeing a lot more of this, in the space with these integrations, where Colossyan, for those that are new to Colossyan, we are an application that enables learning and training leaders to create these interactive learning experiences with the avatars, but also with knowledge checks, with branching scenarios, storytelling, and you'll be seeing a lot more integrations, with other learning platforms as well. So we're a part of a great ecosystem that truly does power sort of the future of learning. And these are just some of the avatars that you might see on the Colossyan platform. So thank you to ELB, shout out, appreciate that. And so let's dive in. So why AI? Why avatars? Okay. One thing I heard this week that was very compelling, I went to an AI event here in New York City yesterday, and somebody mentioned in the audience that AI was removing a lot of the frictions that we have. And I think that's very true. I think looking to AI as sort of this silver bullet, this thing that's just going to like do our work for us. I know that there's a lot of FOBO out there. If you haven't heard this term, apparently it means fear of becoming obsolete. This is what the World Economic Forum is talking about right now, and how we have this sense of anxiety that our jobs are going to be taken. But truly, these tools are nothing without the just human experience, without your ability to bring empathy to the learning opportunities that you'll be creating with these tools. And so I want to remind you that it's not one of those things where you just push a button and like walk away and it's done. No, this becomes magical once you're able to, really pour your heart into it and leverage ancient techniques and storytelling. And this is what I'm so excited about, because I mean, I get tingles just thinking about it, because we truly are at a time where all of the things that, we've learned from cinema, theater, storytelling apply themselves wonderfully here. And so why AI avatars? I'm going to show you my AI avatar. This is a video that I created. Go ahead and play this.
Hello, and welcome to World of Learning. I'm Marlon's AI avatar. Today, our session will be complemented by our wonderful cast of AI avatars to showcase how easy it is to create video content from text and documents. While live human empathy will always remain an essential component of professional development, AI avatars can make it easy to transfer knowledge at scale, giving anyone the ability to update content using text.
So, fun fact, in this video, I actually wasn't saying anything. I had my mouth closed the entire time. I was moving my body, I was, interacting with the camera, but I was not saying anything. And I can get this in any language in seconds, which is incredible. But I want to show this to you because, this is part of, what we're talking about when we talk about avatars. We're also talking about cloning our own personas, our voice, and really being able to utilize these different building blocks to get past things like language barriers and things like that. But this is currently, I think, kind of the quality and what's really exciting about being able to bring your own identity into the mix. If you have instructors, staff members, or even actors that can be directed, body language and gesture is a wonderful way to create an additional layer of realism to the equation. So I want to share that there. But this is the science behind it. So we have this part in our brain called the fusiform face area, which when I learned about this, actually I learned about this in design research, and it is absolutely amazing. So Nancy, Canwisher and her colleagues at MIT, really kind of discovered this stuff. And through these MRIs, we're able to locate the part of the brain that activates when we see faces. So this has to do with our mirror receptors that are the conduit for empathy. This has to do with, one of the reasons why we can tell people out in a crowd, in a crowded space, familiar faces. This is one of the reasons why oftentimes, we say, I can't remember your name, but I remember your face. We actually are wired for this stuff. And what's absolutely fascinating to me is that this is the case for folks who are also born without sight, without vision. just by touching a 3D printed face, the fusiform face area would also activate in these test subjects. Fascinating stuff. So when we talk about avatars and why avatars, hey, these things are, it's weird. It's okay to feel sort of that change and that tingle of something unique and different. But what's exciting about it is that these are artifacts, media artifacts that are derived in the basis of science and how people connect with each other. So pretty exciting. The other thing I want to mention when it comes to AI is that, we have this, it's been a great evolution in on our path to generative AI, right? First, we spoke, then we wrote, then we printed. I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of years to thousands of years to hundreds of years to now 10 years, 5 years, 3 years. The breakthroughs are happening so quickly. But I do believe that we're at a point now where AI-driven knowledge sharing will really be one of the most accessible ways for people to learn. And let's see, do we have any, just want to give a quick break. Do we have any questions so far in our comments section?
We have just a couple of questions. So, do AI generated faces actually promote positive associations, or there's something off about them, the lack of expression, the bland gaze that might actually backfire? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. So one thing that I share, and this is actually great to leading us into the next part of the presentation, is that even though we can look forward to an extreme level of realism, and perhaps even well, what we're currently seeing is a sense of I don't want to say trust, but of comfort in interacting and interfacing with an avatar or with AI, there is always going to be a need for human connection and communication that comes from a human to another human. Example, one-on-one review, like performance review. You're getting well, this is not the best scenario, but like you're getting laid off. Would not want to be laid off by an avatar. News that should come from a human, I think, will still be important. But when it comes to, again, let's go back to what the frictions are with things like education. Well, language is a friction. Uh, updating courses is a friction. I think the half-life in medical education, anybody know this answer here, but I think it's very short, like very short. Um, these are the things that we can solve with AI and AI avatars. So I think this is a very interesting time to be asking these big questions, and I'd invite you to continue to ask them, to continue to explore these different topics, and come to your own conclusions and feelings about when and how you utilize these different tools. So excellent question. And yeah, very excited for the future. I just saw a video posted on LinkedIn of some fascinating reality capture 3D embodiment that I think will also be a part of this like in the future as well. So yeah, hang on to your hats. It's gonna be really fun. Very cool. Okay. So, as I mentioned just a second ago, AI as interface. So, when we talk about avatars and just this comfortability in beginning to interact or learn and pay attention, from an avatar, it is about engagement, but at the same time, it is on us to create the motivation, and that's where a lot of this skill and a lot of this human-led, inspiration will come into play. Couple of ways that you can create these avatars. One is, as I showed you just a second ago, instant avatars. So this avatar that I created of myself was shot with an iPhone, with just a cell phone. All you need is, about 20-30 seconds of footage to create your first avatar and, talk, read a script, and you get your voice, you get your avatars. You can also create generative avatars. That's something that's coming up as well, is the ability to basically prompt an avatar scenario and have yourself a character. And so this is also an example of how you begin to create a gesture library of video clips that can turn into avatars. So in this video, you saw I was, very much thinking in my head, okay, I want to give a welcome message. I want to, be in a corporate environment. But you can do this in a factory. You can do this, in a studio set, with a green screen and change the backgrounds. There's all sorts of fun stuff you could do. And so for the green screens and for all of the kind of higher level avatar applications that you might be interested in, studio avatars are a great choice for that. And so this just requires a higher quality, camera shoot. And so, these are also things that you can do with the Colossyan platform. But I just want to differentiate between those two, as well as some really exciting stock avatars that are available. So scenario avatars, we're really excited because we just rolled out a whole suite of scenario avatars that lend themselves to many different industries. And we'll watch a quick video so you can see kind of the
Creating
breadth of that.
engaging workplace training can be a challenge, whether it's for a hospital, a factory, or even an office. But with Colossyan's scenario avatars, it's easier than ever. From specialized industries to everyday workplace scenarios, scenario avatars make it simple to create personalized interactive training without the hassle of filming.
This training is interactive, so you will lead the way. And on that note, let's start with the first scenario. Do you politely ask them to wait their turn, ignore the interruptions and continue speaking, or address it after the meeting privately?
Welcome to our coffee shop's customer service training for new baristas. Hi, how can I help you?
I ordered a latte, but it's too weak. I expected a stronger flavor.
Should I offer to remake the drink or suggest an extra shot next time?
In this short video, we'll go over essential safety measures to keep our storage facility a safe place to work. Let's start with a quiz to test your current knowledge. What is the safest way to lift a heavy object in a storage facility?
Just choose an avatar, type in your script, and watch them bring your training to life. Ready to experience the future of video creation? Try out scenario avatars today.
Awesome. And, I just want to left a comment here about storytelling. This is pretty exciting stuff. I think, and I want to give a shout out to somebody I met at an event this week, who I think is in the room, Lex Walker, if you're around. We need more writers. We need more folks from theater. We need all of the arts community to really participate in this, because
Hi, I'm Dr.
this
Nina.
is just story-based, absolutely.
And I am Grace.
In this video, we'll explore best practices for effective patient interactions.
Let's begin.
Good morning, I'm Dr. Nina, and I'll be your healthcare provider. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to help.
Hi, Dr. Nina. I actually do have a few questions.
Remember to start with a warm and friendly introduction, as you want your patient to feel comfortable. Now, let's see an example of listening to the patient's concerns.
I've been having terrible headaches, and I don't know what to do. I've never had headaches before, so it's very concerning to me.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Can you tell me a little more, such as when this problem started? Actively listen to the patient's concerns and encourage them to express themselves. Listening carefully ensures you understand their needs, and it will make it much easier to help them. That's it for our first video. Start incorporating these simple practices, as these are the first steps of providing excellent patient care.
Thanks for your time, and
So I understand, there is definitely a sentiment of like uncanny valley, right? For sure. And as I mentioned, the technology is getting much, much better, but really I want you to remember, we're not looking for like deep fakes. Like we're not trying to like fool anybody and say, hey, this is, a real person. Really what this is about scaling like learning content, being able to localize a video into like 70 languages, in minutes, being able to, change curriculum, quickly just with text. And for, if you thought that my avatar, for example, was a little bit more expressive, that's because I was utilizing nonverbal communication to create an added sense of realism. So that's something that I teach a lot to our creators, is to think about what they're trying to communicate in their head and to use their body language to accentuate that message. You will see an added sense of realism because most of our communication and what people understand from us is nonverbal. So just want to kind of drop that little hint there. And Alexis, I see in the chat, definitely drop your handle, because Alexis has wonderful scripts that she showed me her chat GPT history, and I was blown away because the use of AI for creative writing and script was absolutely brilliant. So arriving at this slide here, and this is like one of those things, this is a hill that I'll die on, is really about creativity. So with generative AI, folks, we're speaking the language of cinema, theater, and storytelling. Why? Because we have characters, we have scenes, and we have scripts. You get where I'm going with this? So this is, how do we create drama? How do we create comedy, relatable moments? How can you momentarily suspend disbelief? To some of the comments about, the uncanniness and all of that. Yes, the technology is where it's at, but we can do our part to have some fun with this stuff, to really utilize these tools, to remove the frictions to our learning and training mandates at our respective organizations, right? And I say suspend disbelief very intentionally, and I'll tell you why in just a second. I also want to highlight, engagement is not learning. I think, I don't have a PhD in instructional design, but I know many people that do, and they'll be the first to tell you, hey, this is just content, but like real learning, is not guaranteed here. And that's absolutely true. I mean, we've had many, many brilliant people in the past that, learned, amazing skills, with analog media and in-person experiences. Now you have all the tools. So, really it's about, what you are able to do, not just as a learning designer, but also human resources, how they incentivize learning and skill building at their organizations. Are there architecture path or job architectures that incentivize people wanting to upskill? These are the types of things that are complementary to these innovations in content creation. And there's so much more that can be done with analytics, but ultimately this is about personalizing content. And we'll talk a little bit more about personalization. I mentioned momentarily suspending disbelief. This is a book that I highly recommend. Margaret Carrison, wherever you are, shout out, because this was a wonderful book that was, Margaret was a Disney Imagineer. So if you have ever been to a Disney park, drop in the chat what your favorite ride or world was. What is just absolutely fascinating about Disney Imagineering is that they're able to bring you into a world where you momentarily kind of stop the like real world, naysaying of what's real and what's not, and you kind of give yourself into a story. Epcot, I love Epcot, absolutely. Back to the Future, yes, we all miss that one. But Tomorrowland, all of these different places, I think, are great examples of what we can do when we are great at storytelling. And yes, Haunted Mansion is actually, it's an example, and I have the book right here, so I actually have it. So Haunted Mansion is one of those rides, one of those experiences that is mentioned in this book. They dissect that, and so yes, we have these stock avatars. They're from all these different industries, and if we push the button and walk away, it will be a certain way. If we put some love into it, if we look at it through the lens of creativity, storytelling, cinema, and theater, that's when things can become alive, right? And I want to give a quick share of this wonderful example from one of the creators in our community, Melissa Milloway. If you're watching or if you see this later on, just give a shout out. I'm a huge fan of your work. And what Melissa has done before I play the video is that she has, and this was a passion project of hers, She utilized Colossyan's avatars to create a story about a fictitious brand and, really kind of leaned into the AI, leaned into the technology, leaned into that uncanny valley, and produced something very wonderful. This was using a workflow that includes Adobe tools as well. Let's roll the video.
Welcome to Galaxia Analytics, where data is everything and time is a myth. I take it you're analyst number 49. Or was it 48? No matter. Your credentials are active. You exist. That's what matters. As you know, our leadership team consists of visionaries, disruptors, and spreadsheet enthusiasts who thrive on bold, confident recommendations. They want insights, not explanations, decisions, not data dumps. And yet,
it's like an onboarding video.
They demand all the data. Instantly. Your challenge? Take everything you know, simplify it, and make it compelling enough that leadership pays attention. Yes, it's a skill. One that takes practice and the right approach. This is your first challenge. You're about to meet Cassian Rowe, Analyst Manager number 433. He's your manager, or at least the system has designated him as such. Cassian knows what leadership expects. And more importantly, he knows how to get them to listen. He'll be preparing you to meet Alara Voss, otherwise known as Executive Number 1. She will be making the final call on this strategy, and she doesn't have time for uncertainty. Cassian will tell you more about her, what she values, what she expects. Consider his insights carefully. Let's see how well you can make your case. No pressure. It's just an opportunity to influence decisions that matter. And remember, analyst number 49, everything here is designed to help you, well, succeed. At least that's what the system says.
So shout out to Melissa and this wonderful video that she made. Again, this is what happens when we open the creative faucet, when we let go and we just start to play, because as children, we're super creative. We play make-believe with no hesitation. It's really in the process of becoming an adult that we kind of unlearn creativity. We stop playing, and I just, with all my heart, I recommend that you all just look at these tools as building blocks that enable you in your storytelling. And just excited to see more of these wonderful examples of folks that really kind of pour in some creativity into their avatar videos. This could have easily been a treatment for an upcoming Netflix special as well. Shout out to all the TV writers out there. I agree, Salima, for sure. Alexis, you already know. But let's continue here. So behind the engagement. So back to a more practical side of this. We're looking at lack of engagement, right? When the motivation is not there, and when the economics incentives are not there, that you got to start there. That's not what will ultimately create motivated, intrinsically motivated learners, right? But where this does help is in that personalization and storytelling. So one thing that you can do, and we learned earlier from the ELB example, is that you can use integrations and APIs to create 1,000 of these videos personalized to somebody's name, preferences. Let's say that you're onboarding 1,000 new employees. They take a survey. You have that in your HR software. Has an open API, and you're able to connect this to Colossyan, and you're able to send all of those new hires, welcome video with their name. Maybe what their favorite food is, or other hobbies that they have, and this avatar could speak to that. So we're talking about personalization now. The storytelling we just saw. So these are the training challenges. And when it comes to cultural relevance and personalization, if you work with a transnational company or you have that experience, drop that in the chat, because I'd love to know, what the challenges have been for those of us that have, worked in, scenarios where we had to localize content, or we saw some, barriers to adoption, for programs and learning due to the fact that, just may have been different in another region. These are the things that we can solve with AI. So avatars, 70 plus languages. It just takes a few clicks. This is what it looks like on the editor. And I'm going to actually show a couple of other videos where you're seeing this in real time. So script, scene, very similar to editing a PowerPoint, but now you can instantly change these languages, and also just change the approach, right? So it might be a different approach. This is about personalization, right? And I'm going to go ahead and show you another example here. This is our CEO, Dominic.
Hey there, I'm the AI avatar of Dominic, the CEO and founder of Colossyan, and I'm happy that you've decided to try out our video platform. With Colossyan, anyone can easily create videos from text, documents, and templates, as well as translate them in seconds. You can try out different AI avatars and voices, or you can create an avatar of yourself, like the one you're seeing here. By the way, your avatar will be able to speak more than 30 languages in your own voice. Por ejemplo, así sonaría este video en español. Und jetzt spreche ich auf Deutsch. Pretty impressive, right? You can check out our tutorial videos if you need help getting started, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for choosing Colossyan, and happy creating.
So just to show you how you can, change up these different languages. And a quick poll now. Karen, maybe let's pull up the question. I want to know, just gauge what you think is the number of people around the world that do not have access to education in a language they speak or understand. So is it 10%, 30%, or 40%? What do you think? So when we talk about, the practicality and the utility of this stuff, I think we begin to see where the real pain is, and certainly around the world. These are things that AI can solve for. Going back into the webinar chat here to see what's happening. So we've got, Scott. We've done some work, a lot of work in the cross-cultural space as a result of significant international business. Developed cloud-based cross-cultural serious negotiation game that we're moving to an AI system. That's amazing. Really, really excited to see that. And yes, Joy, we will be sending this out as well as this deck. So you all will all have this as well. Okay, so let's see here. So when get my mouse here. So 10%, 30%, 40%. Well, it is 40%. That's a significant amount of people. And it looks like, yep, most of you got that right. Yeah, I mean, I kind of go with the dramatic option, right? But 40% of the world does not have access, according to UNESCO, in a language they speak or understand. Folks, we can solve for this. This is one of the easy problems that AI can solve. So when it comes to localization, when it becomes, an opportunity for us to, really make an impact worldwide, tools like this can make a huge, huge difference. So, really, very interesting stuff. And, this is largely, part of the problems that we were tackling over at Ericsson when I was there. So, this is a company that's, been around for over 100 years and, focuses on connectivity. So now we're going to talk about content upcycling and AI. So this is, again, looking at sort of practical use cases. So one of the things that you can do very well with AI and with this platform is that you can take an old PDF, you can take an old PowerPoint and turn that into a video, without the studio, without having to do a lot of the, very heavy lifting that goes into video production. And so, this really addresses the time and costs involved. I invite one of the links that we'll have to share with the community later on is a calculator that shows you basically for a project that you might be interested in that involves video, what the cost of that might be. Because yeah, it is very significant. And so as far as being able to reduce the cost of that and look for, ways of scaling upscaling perhaps a project. Because again, we had a webinar on Colossyan's knowledge transfer series a couple of weeks ago on creativity, and we talked to a wonderful production studio. And I want to emphasize that these are not branded films that you're creating. There's still a place for, wonderful casts and shoots and locations and live action and all of that. This is addressing the practical needs of instructors, of learners around the world, not to replace filmmaking. Just want to be clear about that as somebody who is absolutely passionate about filmmaking. And to give you an example of what this looks like here, I took, anybody here familiar with the Global Learning and Development Sentiment Survey Donald Taylor does every year? Well, this was, I think, an opportunity to test this out. And so I took the PDF of the report, I uploaded it, and I wanted to turn it into like a social media video, like a vertical style video for TikTok and Instagram. And in just seconds, I was given a set of screens like this that had script for me to then take over and start to add in my own elements. It uploaded some images as well, so it really just accelerates the process of creating some of this stuff.
Hey there, it's Marlon's Avatar, here to guide you through a quick exploration of the 2025 L&D Global Sentiment Survey brought to you in association with Colossyan. Each year, lead researcher Donald Taylor asks the industry what's hot in L&D. Here's what they said. The 2025 survey reveals an unprecedented interest in artificial intelligence, growing in votes from its top position in the survey last year. Consulting more closely with the business and demonstrating value also saw significant gains compared to last year's results, along with performance support. These three options, often referred to as the value trio, also say a lot about the need to align AI initiatives with the bigger corporate strategy. Since the survey began 12 years ago, most trends follow a predictable path, rising early, then settling into general use, niche adoption, or abandonment. The main exception was the value trio, which remained stable. AI followed the usual decline until ChatGPT's launch in late 2022 disrupted the pattern entirely. Beyond AI, the results of this year's survey highlight the importance of demonstrating business results. Consulting with the business is linked to showing value. The idea here is that workplace learning leaders should first engage with the business to understand its needs in order to demonstrate the impact of the learning intervention.
So I'll stop there, but just wanted to show how quickly I can create a video just from a PDF. And I did not need to get on camera and read a script. As a former BuzzFeed producer, I could tell you it's not easy to get on camera, read scripts, even with, the new social media editors that you have. It takes several takes to get it right, especially, if you're, self-conscious like me and, have to get it right perfect. So this is really a great tool to be able to, kind of fast track that content creation process. Also, I saw a comment here, a question really about, who owns the avatar. Excellent question. I just want to pause here just to say that it's very important that as you go around talking to vendors for these different types of AI applications, that you do that due diligence, visit their trust center, understand, where your server is located. As far, for Colossyan, we take these things very seriously. We're an enterprise-first company, meaning that, SOC2 compliance, privacy rights, all of these things are, front center for us because, otherwise companies like Ericsson, UPS, Novartis, companies that we work with, they just simply, can't take these risks. And so, very great question. One of the resources that we'll also share, in addition to the ROI calculator, is a vendor tool that will allow you to really kind of just make sure you ask all the right questions as you go, on your journey and talk to different folks about, what these different applications might do for your business. Yes.
So Marlon, before we go any further, we have a lot of questions. Some have been
Yes.
posted in chat that you've caught, but there's a lot in the Q&A. So if you don't mind, let's pause for a moment
Yes.
and cover some of those questions.
Let's do it.
Okay, so now, there was a question about the AI avatar having a potential risk of being involved in unethical or malicious activities. So that would lead to the false perception that we're responsible for these actions. I assume that it could be misused. What are your thoughts on this, and how would you guard against that?
Yes. Well, I can go back to the question about, due diligence with vendors. So Colossyan has a filter. Like, let's say that you wanted to take a video of a celebrity or something and manipulate their voice. We block that kind of activity. A company like Colossyan or really any like proper like SaaS enterprise company is going to have safeguards against a lot of this stuff. And typically also because of, things like, the applications, you know, let's say just the customer profiles, it is less likely that anybody would want to do something malicious with this stuff. So this is not a consumer software, I would say. There's others out there that are great for creating very realistic deep fakes, and there are models out there that can also facilitate that for people that know how to work with those data sets locally. But as far as our company, there are many safeguards. And so you can visit our trust center and see kind of what that's like. But that opens up a bigger question. And I think you're absolutely spot on, is that with all of these incredible innovations, there comes a risk. And I will never forget, highly recommend you read Future Shock by Alvin Toffler. It's a book from like 1972, where and he also wrote another book called The Third Wave, where he basically says that there's no theory of industrial change without a theory of conflict. And what does that mean? That means that, when we created factories, we had to solve for children working in factories. When we created cars, we had to put the seatbelts in the cars, safety glass, don't drive on the phone. Rules and regulations had to be put in place to sort of mitigate the negative effects of innovation along the course of history, and AI is no different. So it's a very thoughtful and great conversation to have around AI ethics, how society will mitigate these different risks, and also how we as creators, as companies, build our policies to mitigate them as well. So that's an excellent question, a very valid question, and I think be safe out there. There's tons of stuff coming at us every single day, but it doesn't mean we have to like jump on everything. Do that due diligence, especially when it comes to workplace applications. As civilians, I mean, that's a whole nother story. But when it comes to enterprise stuff, when it comes to workplace learning, you've got to be very careful. I hope that answers the question.
I hope so too. I think it did. I think you point out a very, very important thing that many people probably don't realize or don't, think about, is where your data is being stored. So if your data is being stored on American servers, then it's under American laws, regulations, and so forth. If your data is being stored in Australia, then it's under Australian law. So it's important to know where that data is being stored. That's really to be that way. Now, there's a couple other questions that came around sort of the appearance of the avatar. So first and foremost, I'll just go through a couple of them. So is the avatar, can you dress them in different environmental suits? And can you make adjustments to, like, if there's an avatar that's robotically head nodding, evidently, can you adjust that so they don't nod as much? And then lastly, communication and nonverbal cues. In terms of the translation, sometimes cultural communication with nonverbal things can, what here in North America we might consider okay, in another culture that's considered very rude. So is that kind of cross-cultural translation taking into effect? So you've got that, and can you change the suit, and can you change the configuration movements of the avatar?
Great question. So at this time, if you want customization to the outfits, one thing that you can do, I spoke to somebody recently who, had a manufacturing use case, and asked if it was possible to have them wearing company uniforms and things like that. You can put like logos on the shirts on the Colossyan platform. There are some customizations that you can do. There's these scenario avatars, studio avatars that you can change backgrounds on. But as far as like being able to, in a generative way, change the outfits, I'd say that's something to look forward to at this time. I always say at this time because the stuff just moves so quickly. And the other part of the question, Karen, was about the
changing a configuration on the movements of the AR avatar. So like you've recorded it and now they seem to be going.
I see.
Can you
Yeah.
change it?
Yes. What I would recommend is that, and this is, again, it makes me happy to know that like we still need humans, right? That this is like where we come into play. If you have awareness of a localization characteristic that you want to make sure comes out in these different videos, one thing you can do is use your studio avatars or your instant avatars and create that vocabulary. At this time, the stock models do not have that type of capability to do like custom movements. We are, well, very excited about this, but we are launching some new avatars that have a heightened sense of realism, which is really exciting. But I think what you describe, I think, is something to look forward to. But again, if you are shooting your own instant avatar, then that's a wonderful space to explore, right? Because in some countries, you have different types of head gestures, right? There's certain things, I'm a native Spanish speaker. There's words. I'm half Salvadorian. I'm half Mexican. There's words that you can say in El Salvador that would be offensive in Mexico, for example. Same word, different meaning. Avoid confusion, and just really look at, where your learners are at and, cater to their cultural needs. Very clearly, I want to answer Urbano's question about where the content is served up from a cache. For Colossyan, again, I can only speak for our company, is in Germany, is where our servers are based. And so, again, you can check out our trust center and learn more about that, and happy to answer any questions later on. But that's an excellent question. Karen, do we have any other questions? This is great. We're on a roll.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot more. So will a greater volume of video and audio input lead to a more accurate avatar representation? People notice that your avatar was very much in sync and looked good. And so someone said you should put together some tips for some people to do that? Or is that a result because you've uploaded 10 hours of yourself and it's created that? So what is the kind of context to creating that really great avatar?
Excellent question, and I'm flattered that you love my avatar. We actually have a session on this at Learning Technologies. If everybody's going to be at Learning Technologies in London, we have a whole session on this on the second day. But yes.
I honestly did not know that, so it's not a plug, but that's okay. We'll plug Learning Technologies.
Just if you want to learn more about that. But want to share that we have this video where you see my avatar is no more than a minute long. What I would recommend is that you take many videos because you're going to want to build out a gesture library. And that allows you to bring in different clips for different messages. So one thing that I instruct creators to do is, like an opening welcome. It's awkward because I'm like not saying anything, but that's how I would record my avatar. If I'm closing and saying thank you for joining, that's saying goodbye. Thank you so much for joining me on this webinar. So that goes back to our point about momentarily suspending disbelief. right? Because I feel like I'm being spoken to. Their body is welcoming me. It's relating to me in a sense. And so if you like the sense of realism in my avatar, what I would recommend is think about how you would share your message non-verbally, record that for just general like speaking segments of your course or message. Just kind of standing idle, using your facial expressions, some eyebrows. All of those things are great for enhancing that sense of realism. And for different scenarios where you may have, a particular message that you want to drive home, hey, I'm upset, you shouldn't have done that, or maybe a conversation between two different people where there has to be that level of expression. You can absolutely act this stuff out. Again, I just want to champion the arts, theater, cinema, storytelling, because without that stuff, a lot of these technologies fall flat. So kid in a candy store, you have all of the tools. If you want, just to kind of open up the Pandora's box, we can have, Kermit the Frog teaching, sexual harassment. Like, I mean, that's not the problem anymore. It's really just about like kind of our inventiveness and our ability to kind of lean into that creativity and really play with these different tools. So hopefully that helped. And great topic. Stay tuned because I think we're going to have a webinar on nonverbal communication very soon. Great
Great. And
question.
yeah, it was a great question. And I saw a tip from somebody who says, this is how you prepare for your presentation. You record yourself. Then you turn down the sound and watch what you do during whatever, a 5-minute thing. Watch what you do. It's also good, especially if you speak with your hands too much and you realize you move around too much. But then listen to what you don't look away and just listen to what you say. Listen to your intonation. Listen to the rise and fall of your voice. Then you can look at those things and think about what Marlon just told you about your AI avatars. And I think once we have that kind of magnifying glass on how we talk and how we do it, because we do it intuitively, innately, we want to figure out how to tell that to our avatars. I think that's a great section to talk about, and we have just 6 minutes, so we do have more questions, but I know you have more content, so we'll give you a few more minutes and move on.
Absolutely. No, and we will share this presentation with everyone. And I invite folks to kind of join us, in conversation on social media and LinkedIn, et cetera, to, keep asking these great questions. Just to piggyback off that, Karen, I would love to ask another question. This is another polling question, because this is very, I think, appropriate for the questions we just asked. If you were to create an AI avatar, to help you present during meetings, which of the following characteristics would you find to be, most important? It's an open question, but curious to see sort of where we find the most value, what we think is most important. And as you answer that, I'll continue here with some more content here. So this is a great real case here. This is the work Very Nice, led by Matthew Manos, who is the Associate Dean of Challenge-Based Learning at USC, Iovine Academy, and has created many open source toolkits. So they have tons of PDFs that are available for folks on Gumroad, have been used by many different entrepreneurs and organizations. But we challenged ourselves to create a video and localize it so that we could get.
Marlon,
Yep.
just 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and launch out the results because it covers up your content and we don't want that. So here's the results to the characteristics, human characteristics that mimicked the behavior and expressions, 45%, depth of language, 23%, responsiveness, 32%. So that human reality is what everyone's really looking for.
Great. No, I'm glad that we're able to share that out, because I think it's important for both technologists and also creators to kind of know what is most important here as far as creating these experiences. So I'm going to go back to this models of impact. This just shows exactly how you localize different toolkits and videos. So we took the models of impact PDF, uploaded it to the platform, turned that into a video with avatars. And by the way, you do, like, best practice is not to have avatars in every single slide or for them to be speaking for like 4 minutes. It's really to chunk the learning, to break it up. You don't have to use the avatar, but just like that, we were able to convert this into a Japanese course. So really excited about that. And as you can see, it changes the whole script. It changes all of the elements, so that that happens within seconds. And also, you can reformat this content for Instagram stories, TikToks, Squares. So there's applications for all of this stuff. Mm-hmm.
All right, great.
And
Okay.
yeah, a couple of last couple of minutes, but we have a couple of examples here of more social type videos.
Hey there, I know we're all going crazy for bottled sparkling water and banana peels,
It's a meme
but
that
want to know
happened.
what's actually cool? Colossyan's brand new editor. This includes a fresh new homepage. Immersive
this one here is a, oh, sorry, 1 second here.
Hey there, I know we're all going crazy. Immersive technology has come a long way, and no better example than my instant avatar made on Colossyan explaining the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. This is a device that is enabling us to interact.
So just wanted to share there that what I did was I knew what I wanted to talk about. I used props. I shot in front of a green screen just with my cell phone. And I used Midjourney or actually I used ChatGPT to create the background image, like video game style, brought that into Adobe Premiere and just slapped them together to create this Instagram reel. So just wanted to give you a sense of just how like we make these videos. So very fun stuff. I know we have not as much time, so we'll get through this. As far as the editor, it can be very much like editing a PowerPoint and a video. That's kind of where the intersection is. There is, by the way, if anybody here familiar with the term large language model, that is like what ChatGPT would be. You can ask the LLM here to help you generate a script, to generate images and things like that. So you do also have these tools. As I mentioned earlier, I was able to edit that video thanks to some of these additional tools. So I would encourage you to kind of bring in your own workflows, share this with your creative teams, talk to people that are outside of AI, such as like screenwriters and storytellers to see how you might fine tune these experiences. But again, it's all about having that creative stack that works for you. And for anybody that's familiar with these books, give me a thumbs up in the chat, but these are great examples of what we can do today with branching scenarios. So one thing I'll mention about the interactivity options here is that you can also take a document and upload it to create branching scenarios. This is coming soon. It's not out yet, but our team is working to fine tune all the last details and put that together for y'all. So creating choose your own adventure stories. I would recommend everyone to go back to these. I myself, I've got an eBay page open with a set of these different books because I think it's so relevant today. So as we
This
know,
is
yeah.
great. We've come to the end of our time. I am so sorry to say, but that was fantastic. I think we could definitely go on for quite more time.
Yes.
We have actually more questions, and there's just a lot here. So please, thank you so much for everybody being very interactive. Thanks so much to ELB Learning, who sponsored this session dealing with AI avatars in learning. And as I understand it, the Colossyan avatars are in the ELB ecosystem. So that's a real big plus there. So thanks so much for that. And we want to thank everybody for their time today. And thanks, Marlon.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining me. It's been just a wonderful pleasure to be able to share, this material with y'all. And I know that, with the Learning Guild, we'll be following up with this deck and resources. So you didn't miss anything, just more practical tips and, excited to see what y'all make. Please connect with us on LinkedIn, Colossyan. We're a great, just excited group of folks that, are looking forward to helping you create learning experiences. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.